25-26 campaigns have just started, and already in South Africa, the league-winning coach from last season is already under pressure. We're just a few weeks in, and out in England, we've had arguably the best game in the world so far. The league has just started, whilst out in Germany, of course, we have seen Bayern Munich, the defending champions, hit the ground running. Hello, Mzansi, I'm Susan Mapena. I'm proud to be in your company, along with Jeris Kosana, later on to discuss what's happening in South Africa. We'll start the show talking to Mark Haskins about not only Germany but England. But before we get started, Hollywoodbets' latest innovation, I should say, the Far More for the Fans football content creator series has just gotten underway. And it's worth reminding you that Vino Snap is the official photographer for Hollywoodbets this season in as far as football. But let's find out more about the Far More for the Fans football creators and what they had to say.
What is football without Abalandi? Hi, Namangas. But from Tranang Games to Kwamahlobo, as Hollywoodbets, we will be there for you every step of the way.
Even in professional football, Sikona on the touchline, bringing you all the latest from your favorite teams.
Thina-ke we are the OGs. Dala siyibambile le shandi. Sibonge uHollywoodbets for bringing us closer to you.
This year, especially the people's photographer, Sazoba Mnandi.
Olabafowethu.
It's there, sesifikile, sesikhona, and together, let us enjoy a beautiful season of football. Azisheke!
Well, Hollywoodbets, of course, continuing to ensure that they give back to South African sports, not just the beautiful game in football, but let's waste no time. Get straight into it. Mark, good to be in your company. Let's talk about Germany and the good start to the season for the new unrivaled Diaz. Harry Kane's already found the back of the net. They've done well in the Super Cup, the DFB Cup before the season starts, and start with a 6-0 hammering of Leipzig, just to say, look, we are good, and continuing on from last season.
Well, yeah, I must say, I was flabbergasted, to be honest, when Liverpool let go of Diaz. I thought, they were crazy.
Yeah.
I thought they were crazy. But you can see exactly what the quality that he possesses, because he's just gone into the Munich setup and fitted like a hand in glove, and absolutely announced himself in a big way, scored in the Super Cup, and now obviously in the league on opening match day, gets another goal, gets an assist on top of it as well. So I think he's going to be a fantastic player. And obviously Harry Kane, goal poacher supreme, getting a hat-trick on opening day. The funny thing about that, at halftime, the score is 3-0, and he's not on the score sheet. And he's like, no, wait for me, guys, I'm coming. And then second half, he gets a hat-trick to make it 6-0. So against a Leipzig team who generally would consider themselves contenders. So Bayern Munich have already made a statement on opening day that they are going to be the front runners once again. Well,
Harry Kane, 99 games, 91 goals out in Germany already, closing in on 100. But let's talk about a few upsets here. For one, Leverkusen, all eyes on them, especially after Alonso. And they start off with the loss at home and another shock result. I think it's safe to say there's, in this case, Dortmund.
Yeah, again, I think Leverkusen post Alonso, we know what they did. Obviously, winning the league 2 seasons ago, they had a good run in Europe as well. Were a fantastic team to watch, the football they played, and it was always going to be interesting to see how they adapt to life after Alonso, and losing, I should say, their opening match at home, 2-1. Not the greatest of starts in their post-Alonso era. So we'll see how they adjust and how they recover from that. But Dortmund, yes, they'll be the most disappointed, because against St. Pauli, they were leading 3-1 at some point until a late 80 minutes, and then contrived to end up drawing the game 3-3. St. Pauli, they'll be proud of the fact that they were able to really grind out the result, get the draw at home. So I think it's going to be interesting. And that's what I love about the Bundesliga, because it's so closely contested. no result is really a foregone conclusion, because even Bayern Munich, with the power and the might that they have, they will be tested. And I think even this coming weekend already, they'll face a stern test.
Well, there's some tests coming up here for Leverkusen, their way to Werder Bremen, and they'll be looking, of course, to pick up that first win of the season, but this time they'll have to come away from home.
Both of them, I mean,
Yeah.
because Werder Bremen got hammered as well by Eintracht Frankfurt. And so, both of them need to redeem themselves. So coming off the back of some serious losses there, they both will have a lot to fight for. And then you see Bayern Munich against Augsburg. Augsburg also getting a good win this past weekend. And so the Bayern Munich-Augsburg game, I think, is going to be a clash to watch as well.
So, plenty of clashes to watch and an interesting start of life in football out in Germany. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we keep Mark Haskins. We talk about what's happening out in England, and my oh my, what a game between Newcastle and Liverpool.
Be in the game.
Welcome back to Game On, and we move on to what's happening out in England. And Mark, we'd spoken about Chelsea, the Club World Cup, stuttering start to the season. What a response in their away game against a struggling West Ham so far this season. But what a response from Chelsea with a 5-1 win.
Yeah, and I mean, in a London derby, it's always going to be very interesting. So the West Ham supporters, are some of the most vociferous that you find around. So it was always going to be an interesting one. But Chelsea responded beautifully in that match, and they showed exactly why they are going to be contenders this season, why they should be taken seriously. The match, against Crystal Palace was always going to be a tough one. Crystal Palace are, one of the formed teams, winning even the FA Cup, and they showed their worth against Liverpool in the Charity Shield. So, nobody really faults Chelsea for that opening match. But in the second match against struggling West Ham, as you said, they really announced themselves and said, hey, don't forget us. We are the world champions, and we are here to be taken seriously.
Now, from world champions, let's talk English champions. Visiting Liverpool already, visiting Newcastle. Already a big talking point was Isak, whether he's going to leave Newcastle, go to Liverpool. He, of course, not involved in this match. But what drama we got served up in a match that had everything in it, including a new star, possibly a young 16-year-old, who plays just 1 minute of professional football. In that 1 minute, scores a winner, and he's now a household name.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. That's what you have to love, and that's why we call it the beautiful game. And I always say, for me, football and sport in general is the only real reality TV. Because you couldn't script this even if you tried. And just the way that match played out, obviously Liverpool going 2-0 up, Newcastle getting a red card, still being able to come back to 2-2, and then the stage was set for a 16-year-old to
was supposed to waste time, actually. It was just waste time.
And then that's the thing, though, Liverpool are a team that want to win every game they play, so there's no time wasting with them. It was 2-0. I mean, it was 2-2, and they want to go for the result against 10 men. So I think Newcastle were holding on more than anything, but Rio just showed up on the far post, and the way he finished it with such maturity, just, picking his spot, putting it in there, and the rest is history. So absolute great performance, and this is why we love the beautiful game.
Now, Rio Ngumoha of Nigerian descent joins the likes of James Milner, Cesc Fabregas, and Wayne Rooney as players that have scored as 16-year-olds out in England. So he's in great company indeed. Now, drama. Tottenham go off to City, and we love it. Early season drama. Tottenham walk away 2-0 winners. The world is shocked.
Yeah, I mean, after Man City put on a 4-0 performance in the first match, everyone was like, okay, Man City is back. Pep Guardiola is back. But then they were their own worst enemy against Tottenham. But you have to love what Thomas Frank has also done with this Tottenham team. They're very forward thinking. They press high. They weren't afraid of City. They went there. I mean, even the way, they got that second goal off and they forced. You can say City made the mistake, but it's a forced error.
Yeah.
It was contested. It's not like an error that came out of nowhere. Tottenham pressed for it and they worked for it, and ultimately walking away with a 2-0 result at the Etihad. Massive compliment to Thomas Frank and Tottenham, and they also putting up their hands 2-2 and 2 very solid performances. Tottenham are also a team that we need to take seriously this season.
Well, now let's look at another side from London, Arsenal. Start off the season with what wasn't a pretty win, but an effective win against Manchester United. Still, question marks against Arsenal. Do they tick all the right boxes in their 5-0 hammering of Leeds United?
They absolutely did. We know what they're renowned for now. They've established themselves as lethal from set plays. 2 of those goals were
which
scored.
you mentioned
2 of
last
those
week,
goals we've said, time and time again. Against Man United, it was a set play that got them the 1-0 result. So when they needed to grind out a result, it came from that set play. 5-0, 2 of them from corner kicks. They show, they not just about pretty football, they play really good football, but when it counts, when it matters, they can find a way to get a result. They didn't play well against Man United. Everyone's saying Man United probably the better team on the day, but that's the mark of a champion. When you don't play well and you still find a way to win, that's the mark of a champion. And Arsenal have shown themselves again, even in just the 2 matches they've played thus far, that they will be championship contenders. 5-0 result. We spoke about 16 years old. There was a 15-year-old who came on in this match. Max Dowman comes on, wins a penalty for the last game. I would have loved to see him take the penalty because they were already 4-0 up. But obviously the new guy, Gyökeres, he needs to announce himself wearing a big number on his back, number 14. Obviously that Thierry Henry made famous. So he's got a lot to live up to. But this Arsenal team, they look like they are going to be a force this season.
They certainly do. Now, let's look at some upcoming fixtures. Do know the game showing on SABC in a couple of hours' time is Man United, who haven't won in the league as yet. They've lost one. They've drawn one in the league. Also, out of the cup to a third-tier side midweek. It's not a great start to the season for a Man United side that plays Burnley. Burnley may look to go to the theatre of dreams and make it the theatre of nightmares for United fans.
And it certainly will be just that, because you can imagine the pressure that Amorim is under now, because the fact that they have only one, the 1 point to show for, and the reality is Burnley against Tottenham on opening day, they lost that game, but they put up a solid performance. And then they went on to win their second match against the newly promoted Sunderland as well. So Burnley, they're not going to back down. If ever there was a time to go to United and go and actually feel like you can win, now's that time. And so Burnley go into that match and will feel that we can get the better of Man United because they are vulnerable right now.
I tell you what, Liverpool must have looked at the opening few fixtures of the season and thought to themselves, the gods of football are against us here. First Newcastle, then they're at home to Arsenal, by the way.
That obviously is clearly the match of the weekend, and that's the match everyone is salivating over. I mean, Liverpool and Arsenal already, they both 2-2 in their opening games. For Liverpool, they'll be worried because both their opening games, they were leading 2-0. And, against Bournemouth as well. Bournemouth came back to 2-2. They ended up winning it. And so that shows again, even when things are not quite going their way, they're able to get the result. Chiesa coming up big in that match. And then obviously we saw the youngster getting the win for them against Newcastle. But ultimately, this match is set up, as already to show who's going to really be the front runner this season. So this match is really one that's going to be for the books.
Now, a few fixtures to talk about as well. Chelsea taking on Fulham is a one not to miss, whilst for City, they'll look to get back to winning ways when they take on Brighton. That's our look at the world of football out in Europe. When we come back, we have Jerry Skosana. We talk about the drama that's the world of football in the beautifully South African game. Stay with GameON. Welcome back to GameON. Now, those who love the local game will say local is lekker, and of course, we've saved the best for last in that regard. In Jerry Skosana joining us, and so much to talk about in the local game. But let's go back to, firstly, the MTN8 semi-finals. And just look back. And first, I must congratulate you. First leg, your prediction was right, 1-1. You said it was going to be a draw. Second leg, you said it would be a draw and go to penalties. It was a draw, penalties. But again, a strong ending from Orlando Pirates after a good start from Mamelodi Sundowns.
Thanks, Sizo, and I hope I'm getting the click, click, bang. Congratulations about that.
No, you certainly are.
I think I called it, you know, because I knew how it was going to fare. And it's exactly what people wanted to see because it was good football for me. I mean, the display that was there from both teams, I think it was something for everyone to look at in terms of the future of football in South Africa. So let's hope as the league has already started, some of the teams will wake up because I see some problems with other teams.
You have to look at Pirates and look back in the day on that right side, how they've been able to develop players that have come in and hit the ground running from now Ngota coming in last season when they had problems with the player before him. He hits the ground running. Ngota's now gone. Sibelebele steps up. He's now hit the ground running. And this goes back to Vincent Pule. And after that, they've just been able to replace players on the right side. What do you think of Sibelebele? 3 goals in 3 games after that final and the impact he's had at Pirates?
Yeah, I think with all the guys that you mentioned, you just forget mentioning also Monapule Saleng.
Yeah, Saleng after Pule.
One of those, you know. Yeah. So I think that's the element which you have to look at in terms of players coming to a big club like that. Because if you look at Sibelebele, for me, he was a good player. I gave him some accolades when he was still at TS Galaxy because I didn't even know, was this a right back or a right wing? Because the boys got like a lot of energy to cover up. At one stage, I saw him against Sundowns going back all the way to the left back to make a tackle. And he's a right winger. So for me, these are kind of players that you're looking for. Youngsters that come to a big institute like Orlando Pirates, Chiefs or Sundowns, the Adama Bennett Sundowns. We want to see those players coming up because we want to build a better future for South Africa when you look at Bafana Bafana.
Now, at the semi-final, and it was always going to be about that first goal, the importance of the first goal. Kukune at home against Stellenbosch. Kobler misses a few early chances. The advantage immediately goes with the side that scores first, and that, of course, was Stellenbosch.
That's the one that I missed, but I thought it was going to be better because if Kobler scored those 2 early goals, Kukune would be in a different dimension in terms of attending the game. You know, like the way they were attacking, they showed that they want to do the equalizer and do better, but it wasn't their day until a break, you know, that was launched by Stellenbosch and it caught them offside because everybody was pushing forward from Skikune to get a goal and they were caught with the counter-attack and it was late for them when they scored the equalizer because time was gone already.
Now, Stellenbosch, they continue to raise the bar and set a high bar. Magolanga back to last season, MTN8 final, they made it. Culling knockout, they've done well in the past there in the tournament. And here they are again making another final. They are really trying to stay with the very best sides in the league and compete at a very high level.
Yeah, I think it's something that I once said in terms of Steve Parker. I mean, whatever that is God there in Cape Town, I think it's something which we need to respect. You know, we need to give him respect because he gets players that we thought they wouldn't even fare well in the PSL, and they come up tops. And most of the teams are now looking at beefing up from good players that are being made by Steve Parker at Stellis. But for me, it's something which I say Stellis have raised the bar. Yes, there was a problem that they did when they lost 1-0 to Orlando Pirates.
Sure.
But they had to beef up the team for Skukune, and after that, they had to win again.
So it's part 2 of Stellenbosch and Orlando Pirates in the final, which will be out in Nelspruit, by the way. So let's shift away from the MTN8. Look at the drama that happened midweek, the big game everyone was talking about. Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns, Sundowns coach under pressure following the MTN8 out in Pretoria. The big question was, who was going to get the advantage here? We went against a game that ended 0-0, but such a watchable game and an enjoyable game to watch, especially maybe from even Kaizer Chiefs' perspective.
Yeah, I think for me, the focus was solely on the 2 coaches because if you look at both teams, They did give a good display of themselves inside the field, both set of players. But for me, the focus was like on the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns after losing to Orlando Pirates, the pressure that he came with to play another big team, which had a good run, in 3 games in the league, all with 9 points. And obviously on the other side of Chiefs, the coming back of Nabi, it was like a question of, is it going to be continuity of what they were doing when Nabi was there? And he came back and Chiefs drew. But I think for me, yes, people were talking about the pressure on the coaches, but the game was good on its own. Also the support. If you look at the middle game
full
like that, and then it's full, but also the delay made its lives are better. Delay the time to save lives, and that's what the PSL did, and it was a good thing for them to do because we need to save life for people to come and watch the game.
Well, there were other interesting results, of course. For one, Chipper United, well, they've suffered their 3rd loss in a row. They've already had a coaching change here, so all eyes will be on what's going on in the Eastern Cape in that regard. And Orbit College gave a very good account of themselves against the Orlando Pirates, although Pirates were the team to walk away 1-0 winners. We have run out of time and would like to thank Cherish Kosana for taking the time to join us. Let's not forget Mark Haskins as well. And thank you at home for joining us here for yet another exciting week of Game On. We'll see you again next week. So from myself, Caesar, and the rest of the team that is behind the scenes, it's click, click, bang.